Today we have some new thoughts and reflections from attorney John Deaton. So, what has he unraveled in his tweets? Does it help the grieving XRP holders? Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. But first, we are giving away 50 XRP at the end of the month to one random subscriber to start on their XRP journey. All you need to do is to like the video, subscribe and comment your thoughts on XRP in the comment section. Welcome back XRP Army. Let's move on to the video. So, John Deaton is the managing partner of the Deaton law firm, which he formed in 2006. John worked for a major plaintiffs firm before starting DLF. Prior to becoming a plaintiff's attorney, John served in the United States Marine Corps while still in law school. John has worked as a federal prosecutor and criminal defense attorney. Currently, he is siding with Ripple versus SEC. As he stated, "I am not here to defend Ripple. I am here as an XRP investor. I also want to point out that I represent more than simply investors. I represent enterprises that use the token itself in the course of their operations." John tweeted a thread out on January 2nd, explaining the whole Ripple case. So, let us have a quick go through it. A year ago today, I filed a rarely used legal action against the SEC, a writ of mandamus. And 2nd of January marks the one-year anniversary of John Deaton submitting his first letter of mandamus against the SEC. So, what exactly is a writ of mandamus? It signifies, we have authority. It is issued by the court to order a public authority to undertake legal tasks that it has failed or refused to perform. According to the DOJ website, mandamus is an unusual remedy that should only be employed in extreme cases of particular exigency or the public interest, as John puts it. John continues, the SEC assault against XRP is itself an attack on the token, and he feels this case was one of those unique situations of particular exigency or public interest. A writ of mandamus basically asks a court to order an officer or an agency to properly fulfill their official duties or correct an abuse of discretion. John believes that the SEC abused its discretion by making allegations it simply cannot prove. The SEC may be able to prove that during the years between 2013 through 2017, when Ripple transferred XRP to a specific investor or entity, it involved security. Any commodity can be offered, packaged, marketed, or sold as a security. XRP, ETH, gold, or BTC could be sold in such a way. But what the SEC is arguing, in the Ripple case, related to XRP itself, is truly unconscionable. The SEC position is the equivalent of arguing the oranges or the orange groves, themselves, were unregistered securities in 1946 in the Howey case. Candidly, it's shameful. Do you think the SEC argument against Ripple holds? The argument that the token itself is unregistered security contradicts previous guidance, common sense, public policy, and violates 76 years of U.S. securities laws. The only conceivable scenario that the token itself could constitute the security is in a pure ICO offering. There is no working blockchain in a pure ICO offering. Typically, you just have a white paper and a promoter participating in a crowd sale fundraising event. Also, as John Deaton has said in the past, and this is absolutely accurate, Ethereum fulfills the Howey test better than the Howey test satisfies itself. Ethereum, like the oranges in the Orange Garden, totally meets the 4 prongs of the Howey test much better and more clearly. In an ICO, the token itself serves no function other than an investment. Therefore, one might argue the ICO token itself is unregistered security. But even in the pure ICO offering, the court has made clear the token itself is not the security. In 2019, in the Telegram ICO case, Judge Castell from the SDNY, the same court as the Ripple case, explicitly stated that Gram itself was not the security. The judge also made clear the Gram purchase agreement itself was not the scrutiny, stating that Gram itself was nothing more than alphanumeric code. Why then is the SEC arguing that XRP, which, unlike Gram or any other ICO, has been traded and utilized for over 8 years, is itself security? Even Hinman's Ether free pass speech exempts the token itself. The speech reads, "Returning to the ICOs I am seeing, strictly speaking, the token, or coin or whatever the digital information packet is called, all by itself is not a security, just as the orange groves in Howey were not. If the previous verdicts are like XRP ones, then why do you think the court is dismissing the SEC lawsuit? Tell us in the comment section down below. Also, Chairman Clayton wrote a letter to Congressman Ted Budd and said, "The analysis of whether a digital asset is offered or sold as a security is not static and does not strictly adhere to the instrument." Here, John wants to assert that the SEC fails to adequately account for the reality that a cryptocurrency may go from centralized to decentralized and vice versa. That is significant because it relates to the extent to which there is or is not a shared enterprise. If a cryptocurrency is sufficiently decentralized, that prong of the highway test is not met. It's one of the 4 prongs of the Howey test, and if you don't pass it, the entire thing comes apart. You can't simply satisfy 1, 2, or 3 prongs and say, well, that's 3 of them taken care of. That does not imply that it is tough. The investment of money comes first, followed by the anticipation of profit, the 3rd common business, and the 4th effort of others. You must have all 4 of them. As a result, if crypto is sufficiently decentralized, there can be no common business. You should be aware that although Ripple may cease to exist, XRP may continue to exist. It is not necessary to have a legal background to comprehend such a basic idea as assets at the SEC. Yet, with respect to XRP, the SEC argues XRP, including XRP traded in the secondary market independent of Ripple, are all securities from 2013 to today. Hester Peirce on Thinking Crypto told Tony that she was doing her best to get her colleagues away from viewing the token as the security. It's mind-boggling when you listen to Hester explain how she must remind her colleagues that the oranges were never the securities. Do not forget, in January 2019, Coinbase, along with its sophisticated and experienced securities lawyers, met with the SEC and informed the SEC that Coinbase determined 2019 XRP not to be a security, and unless the SEC stated otherwise, Coinbase was listing XRP the next month. The SEC gave no reason for Coinbase to hesitate, and on February 28, 2019, Coinbase listed XRP and began actively trading it. But 22 months later, the Clayton or Hinman-led SEC, despite their comments to the contrary, claimed all XRP are securities. As Clayton and Hinman stated, even if XRP started out meeting the definition of security in 2013, 2020 XRP is not 2013 XRP. When I filed the writ of mandamus, I honestly hoped the SEC would do the right thing and amend the complaint to only pursue Ripple's use of XRP. John warns that every crypto holder, including Ripple or XRP haters, should be outraged over the SEC handling of this case. That is why over 5,000 non-XRP holders have joined the fight. As I have said, you do not have to root for Ripple or Ripple executives to recognize what the SEC is doing is wrong. Anyone looking at the facts as an impartial party, 99% of them who are not engaged in the case, would come to the same conclusion that only those who believe the SEC is correct to work at the SEC right now, except for Ethereum co-founder Joe Lubin. He believes this makes sense. That's all there is to it. The SEC attorneys working there right now, as well as Joe Lubin, are the only ones who feel the SEC is correct. Make sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Kindly note that the prices of cryptocurrencies frequently change, so by the time you watch this video, it might have changed to a whole new value. The information provided in this video does not constitute investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and you should not treat any of the content as such. The content in this video is for educational purposes only and hence should not be considered financial advice. Do conduct your due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions.